How's it going, guys? Honcho here with another squad video. With the attack helicopter being out in squad for a couple of weeks now, I thought it would be a good idea to share with you some of the best ways to take out an enemy bird. The first thing I want to take you through though is a few basics on how to hit enemy helicopters and where to hit them. It's pretty well known that a fast chopper is a hard chopper to take down, but with squad's special netcode, when these things reach high speeds, they warp all over the show and pitch a frame like crazy. That's why it's usually best to wait for one of these following things to happen before you engage. The first one and most common one is landing, or even more so when they're actually on the ground. This is perfect as it takes them a long time to be able to get moving again, and on top of that even longer for them to reach that terminal lag speed. But the bottom line is, a stationary target is generally easier to hit than a moving one. Alternatively, you can simply just wait for them to slow down. Naturally, helis have to slow down to be able to land, but if they change direction too quickly, or they have a door gunner who's simply trying to line up a target, the pilot will slow down to make it easier for the gunner. Again, it's about getting them out of this laggy state. And finally, just simply wait for them to be flying straight towards you or away from you. This way you don't have to work out loads of trigonometry in your head, you just need to work out a bit of lead for the range. I mean, naturally you can hit them whilst they are on the move, but they will just dip out and disappear before you can hit them with the finishing blows. Now when it comes to hitting them, naturally hitting the main body of the bird, weapon dependent, will do good damage. For example, using a tank's main gun is fine, but if you have an 84 launcher, it's like shooting a T-72 that is in the sky. So unless it's already heavily damaged, you're not really going to do much to it. Aiming for the tail rotor, however, is extremely effective, as if the heli is in the air, 99 times out of 100 that it is game over. This can be taken out by most things, including small arms, but you cannot shoot out the main rotor, which is a shame, but you can take out its engine. Anyway, now you know some of the basics of when to shoot and where, it's now time to move on to what to use. The first and most obvious method for fly swatting is with main battle tanks. You can either use AP or HE, both will deliver the desired effect. It's just one round has more velocity than the other. 90% of the time, hitting a chopper with the main gun will one-shot it, but occasionally and range dependent, it can eat the round and leave the heli either on fire or in a crippled state. I think it's got something to do with damage drop-off values over range, which is another video I'm in the process of working towards sometime in the future. But yeah, there's no bigger boner killer than whacking a heli from a ridiculous range only to see it essentially shrug it off. Don't forget, if you have a 50 cal or NSV on the commander's turret, they are also handy for shooting them down. Slapping helis down with tanks is probably one of my favourite pastimes. Next up is Emplacements. The ATGM launcher is extremely effective for downing helicopters, especially if you are patient enough to wait for the perfect shot. By the way, if you want to learn more about how to use an ATGM in squad, hit the link on this screen now or at the end of the video. So on top of the ATGM launcher, you can also shoot them down with 50 cal emplacements. And if you really want to try and do something ridiculous, yes, you can slap one with a mortar. But in my near 5 years on this game, I have only ever seen it happen twice. Militia and insurgents also get the AA turret emplacement, and whilst these take an eternity to load, they don't take long at taking a bird out of the sky. Infantry fighting vehicles such as the BMP, BTR, Bradley and Warrior are also fantastic at taking helis out. Their 25mm to 30mm autocannons make light work of them, especially the 30 to 40mm Warrior variants. They hit the hardest. With all these vehicles, both AP and HE do significant damage, so you don't really need to worry about what ammo you use, and the fact that these IFVs have fantastic turret speed and elevation mean there aren't many places they can hide from you. Smaller armed vehicles such as Tigers, BRDMs, and the Striker with their 14.5 and 50 cal machine guns will make light work of helicopters too, especially the BRDM now since it got a significant buff. Militia and insurgents again get the ace card as they have the 23mm ZSU AA gun mounted not only to the top of a BMP but an MTLB chassis and in the back of a couple of trucks. Fun fact with these, if you need to get somewhere fast, just turn the gun to the rear of the vehicle and fire. The speeds you can reach are incredible. It's also known as the Insurgent Space Program. Now, as general infantry, there's two main ways of doing it. If you are lucky enough to get either a heavy AT or light AT, you can shoot them down with your rockets. However, for some reason they do much more damage if the helicopter is on the ground, so it's usually a good idea to wait for it to touch grass before you pull the trigger. But not everyone can run AT kits, and this is where I go back to what I mentioned earlier on in the video, and that's shooting out the tail rotor. This is something you can do with every kit in the game. Some will do it better than others, like the machine gunner role, as you can really mag dump into the rotor. Preferably, you want a few of you to do it to stand the best chance of destroying the module, and then you get to watch that puppy spiral into the ground. Now, there are a few more memey ways of taking out helicopters. Ramming them is probably one of my favourite whilst they are landing or landed. I've watched someone actually place a mine under a chopper that's been coming to touchdown as well, and I'm not sure if this one's been patched out or not, but a while ago the militia insurgent drone could take out a heli if you managed to slam into it, which was always amusing and extremely confusing for the enemy pilots. And yes, if you really want to be on the next episode of Air Crash Investigation, you can use your heli to slam into the enemy. However, most server owners frown upon that, but taking one out from the door gunner seat is damn satisfying. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope it serves you well at taking down both transport and attack helicopters. Feel free to share your favourite memory of you taking out a bird in the comments down below. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Fucking hell. Oh, what a fucking freeze frame!